All right, welcome back here on the show, talking power rankings in the NFL, talking the Titans moving forward. Phone lines open, 737-7767, and LD proved for us that the phones do actually work. We had some issues early on in the show. If you tried to call in, couldn't get in, we apologize for that, but LD, kind enough to call in now and prove that they are actually working. Thanks for doing that. LD, welcome to the program.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on the program, and the phones do work.
Good.
We're talking power rankings. I'm going to exclude anything in the AFC right now because of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Probably the most powerful team that we're going to see, and they have their stuff together. A powerful win in the NFC would probably be for Arizona. I think Arizona has what it takes to get things accomplished. If you want to go with a power ranking in the NFC, look for Arizona and then fall down the NFC East, Dallas, New York, Washington, and Philly. They always seem to pull it together.
You like those teams better than Carolina?
I don't appreciate Carolina's ethics with Cam Newton. Excuse any Carolina fans for this attention to Cam Newton, but Cam Newton is a stadium winner. He has to defeat everything in the stadium, meaning he has to have the temperament of the Super Bowl each and every game because of his stature, because of what he got accomplished in Auburn in the SEC. Now being in the NFC, he does not face a lot of SEC defenders. We know how the SEC loves to get drafted towards the AFC, and there's not many SEC players in that NFC division. But I'll just say he's a stadium winner, man. The guy's 6'5", man. He has to defeat the whole field in order to win each and every game, all the way to the Super Bowl. And he couldn't do it against Denver because those guys were on the ground. And I'm a Carolina fan. I don't like talking against Cam Newton because he's a great athlete, a great man, a great individual. But it takes a ton for Carolina to be considered powerful, and it starts with number one.
Yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with that, LD. What you saw is when he got to the Super Bowl against a really fierce rush, the Broncos were able to kind of get under Cam Newton's skin, hit him under the chin, and as big and powerful as he is, he lost effectiveness in that game. The offense wasn't as good, and even in week one, people wondered, what do the Broncos look like without Peyton Manning? Well, I'll tell you what they look like. They look like the exact same defense. They look like a Super Bowl champion defense, and they got after Cam Newton in week one, and he did not have a great game. I still think when you look at him, he's the MVP of the league. I think he's got a great shot to maybe repeat as the MVP of the league this year. And he's got more weapons. As I mentioned, Kelvin Benjamin, to me, makes that offense more potent. So I still think the Panthers are up there, but yeah, I think you do see a little chink in the armor if you have the type of a defensive front that can get after Newton and bother him. I love Arizona. I think Arizona is the type of team that is complete. Carson Palmer has proven to be a really good NFL quarterback. He meshes very well with Bruce Arians' defense. If they get a little bit of a running game out of Chris Johnson and company, that defense looks to be stout and fundamentally sound. They've got one of the more dynamic special teams units in the league. To me, Arizona is a team that I thought last year had a great shot to make the Super Bowl. I put them in the same boat this year. I think they've got a shot to make some significant headway this year in that division. I'm not a big believer of the NFC East. Obviously, somebody's going to be there in the playoffs. But I'm not a big believer of any of those teams. You know, last year it was Kirk Cousins and the Redskins. I don't see that happening again. As I said earlier, the Eagles, they're 2-0 with Carson Wentz. He's looked good. He's looked really impressive for a rookie. But I don't know if I'm buying into the hype on that just yet. The Giants from last year to this year, I mean, they're better. They're 2-0 right now. But I don't know. And the Cowboys, I like the Cowboys a lot coming into the year. But with no Romo, just how good are they? Is Dak Prescott truly ready to lead the Cowboys to wins in the playoffs? I'm not sold on the NFC East just yet. Phone lines are open. 737-7767 is the number. If you missed it, talking some power rankings. I went down the AFC. Really my top five. Top five from the power rankings. Top three are from the AFC. You've got the Steelers. You got the Patriots. We're now down to Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And you've got the Broncos because of that defense, to me, at the top three. Then you go over to the NFC, 4 and 5. Vikings at 4. I gave a tie for the purposes of the actual written power rankings at 5, Panthers and Cardinals. And then the Titans, off of the win. I moved them up 6 spots this week to number 20. Number 20 overall. And a chance to maybe move even higher this week with a win at home against the Raiders. One other story in the NFL that obviously has taken on a life of its own, really, at the start of this season has been Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco. We haven't talked this much about a backup quarterback in who knows how long in the NFL. But his decision to not stand for the national anthem and try to raise some light to the problem in black communities, specifically, in his mind, the systematic oppression in those communities. It's taken criticism. People have criticized his right to sit or kneel during the anthem. Some people perhaps have criticized the actual protest itself. Others have applauded him for it and got behind and said this is an issue that needs whatever. However you do the protest, it needs light to be shed on. I said a couple weeks ago on this program that I firmly stand for Colin Kaepernick's right to protest. That is the great thing about, frankly, the flag that he was protesting and the anthem that he was protesting is we are so free in this country, you have the opportunity to sit, kneel, stand, whatever you so choose during our nation's anthem, and you're not going to go to jail or get shot like you might in some countries. That's a great thing. Fully support his right to do that. The thing I criticized him for was perhaps not understanding that some people won't have that view towards it and will immediately block out anything he's trying to do productive when he takes that stance towards the military. I thought it was especially in poor taste around 9/11 weekend and the guys who joined in as well. Because there are some things in this country that need to unify us, and that became more divisive. He allowed his protests to be more divisive than unify towards the cause he wanted to work for. Some people didn't even want to listen to what he had to say because of just the very nature of the protest itself. He didn't use the platform necessarily to get his message across productively. But I also think with Kaepernick that as this has gone on, he's voiced more and more about what he wants to see happen. And as you look at that, I don't think you can be upset about that. When you look in, he talks about police brutality. I don't know anybody who thinks that police brutality is a good thing. You know, I think we're all in favor that bad cops, bad people should be punished for what they do. I think where there is some disagreement is maybe on the systematic oppression that he talked a lot about. And there's a healthy debate there. And frankly, that's a debate we should probably have. People who, like Kaepernick, believe that there is a systematic oppression that prevents some of those communities from rising up, or people in those communities from having the opportunity to succeed or feel safe. And there's other people who frankly think it's not a systematic thing, that there are other fundamental things out there, maybe within the community itself, maybe within the education system, some of those things. Those things all can be vetted and talked out. But here's where I had a problem this week is obviously there was in my former hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma, a really tragic situation with Terrence Crutcher there. And from the videos, they don't look good. But I will also say that sometimes when we look at videos and you see certain things in short clips or whatever, that sometimes you don't have all the information. You can't hear what they're saying. You can't see everything that's going on there. So we all need to probably take a step back and wait for all of the evidence to come true. But I will readily admit, what you see initially on those tapes doesn't look good. And if what we see, and maybe what a lot of us believe, including myself at this point, is that the cops went way overboard, they need to be punished. There needs to be justice in that case, if that is the case. But here's where my problem comes in. It comes back to the media on this issue and people needing to take a side and get clicks and ratings and all that. There were a bunch of columnists today, from Nancy Armour to several people. I can't name them all. But several people came out today and started attacking people who criticized Kaepernick's stance or disagreed, maybe even just brought up some robust discussion about what he was trying to accomplish or the way he went about doing it, and said, where are you now? Now that this happened, now that this incident in Tulsa happened, where are you now? The incident in Tulsa is terrible. I don't think anybody who at any point criticized Cap would say otherwise. It's a tragic loss of life. But at the same time with that, when you're looking at Kaepernick, if you don't agree with him protesting in the form of protesting the anthem or the flag, that's not you saying it's okay for what happened in Tulsa. And it's also not the time now to come out and speak about it. You're saying at that point that maybe he could use a different vehicle for his protest to best serve the point he's trying to get across. Or that by protesting the flag or the anthem, he's dividing a section of people he's actually trying to get a point across to. If you disagree with his statement on systematic oppression, that doesn't mean you're for police brutality or somehow condone what happened there. And that's the problem, is everybody wants to make everything black and white. You're either for Kaepernick or you're against Kaepernick. You're for his cause or you're against his cause. There's some gray area to some of this. There's some real debate and real conversation that needs to happen. And that's a part where I totally agree with Kaepernick, by the way. Whether you agree with his means or not, he wants to start a discussion. He has started a discussion. But unfortunately, too many people on both sides of the issue are so caught up on their belief, and if you're not with their side, then you are just wrong, and you're a bad person, and you're bad beliefs or whatever, that they're not entertaining the conversation. And that, to me, happened again today with a lot of these columnists. Don't make it about you. Make it about what we all can do. Make it about what the conversation needs to be. Because ultimately, that's what Colin Kaepernick's stance, or kneel down, was all about. Let's have a discussion. Let's have real dialogue about real answers. Let's have real action from all of us. Don't pick sides. Pick a conversation. And I'm disappointed in other media members for going that way. I don't agree with everything Colin Kaepernick said, but I agree with his right to do it. And I'm certainly willing to listen to his point of view. There needs to be more of that and less of he's right or he's wrong. We got to take a break. We're running way behind, but we can get into that discussion or more on the power rankings and the Titans after this. 737-7767 is the number. Stay tuned. More SportsLine on the way.